Okay, so also they have SNAP, they can apply for food stamp, they can apply for to get some supplement when it comes to groceries. They have also legal aid, they have utility and energy assistance. We have noticed that most people, they don't remember that because this is something you have to apply by season, right? You have to apply for during the winter, there's time to apply when it comes to heat assistance, and then like close to summer, there's another application you have to send when it comes to AC assistant, I think. So some of them, they don't remember to apply twice a year to be eligible for those benefits, but they do really help because I have a client, for instance, who received like about 350 for like those summer, so she knows that actually some of her AC assistance will be paid out of the 350. There's also one benefit that is not here when it comes to taxes, right? Those who own condos, owns places where they live, they can apply actually for assistance when it comes to taxes, real estate taxes, and those can be waived in some places of Virginia. So this is really important because it's a lot of money sometimes if you don't have it, or if you have a trust and you can be eligible for those government benefits, it's much better to use them and be able to supplement whatever need you have with especially trusts. So health insurance. So if you're receiving SSI, state plan Medicaid eligibility has been met. Once you are eligible for SSI, you're also automatically eligible for Medicaid. Now, if you're receiving SSDI, the Medicare you'll be eligible for Medicare after 24 months. So you have to wait 24 months to be eligible for Medicare, even when you are eligible for SSDI. So it's not some, yes?
Is there any valid reason for this?
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know if there's any reason really behind that, but you are eligible after 24 months.
Because that's what happened to her, and we did wait for two whole years before the Medicare.
Yeah.
And there is absolutely no reason, I mean, if there was a reason, I could accept it, but there is no reason.
No, I haven't seen any reason.
So I have a son who is going to be eligible after 24 months after I started receiving Social Security, and I started receiving it a while back. But I looked, and I actually had people in the insurance industry that family members look for me about where that law is. It's supposed to be in the Federal Register about this 24-month period. And it's a form of risk management, like, so I get it, but I haven't been able to find it. Do you know, have you ever seen it in writing anywhere?
I have not. I'm going to have to check because I recently did a training actually with Social Security and SSDI and Medicare. Probably I can look and see if they did mention anywhere the law when it's.
I asked the Social Security rep to show it to me in writing. He couldn't do it.
Yeah, they'll just say this is the law, this is what is going to happen. Yeah, I haven't seen really the law when it comes to those 24 months requirements. Yeah, I will check and see if I can get any information for you.
Is there a different pay structure between SSI and SSDI?
Yes. So SSI actually it's a means tested, right? It's based on your income, right? SSDI is based on your work experience or your child work experience. For instance, if you have worked, right, and you retire, your child may be eligible as a child with disability under your Social Security, right, to get SSDI. So it's based on your income, really. It's not based on your, it's not being tested.
So is it better to wait, not do SSI, just wait for SSDI?
No, you don't have to wait for that. So if you are still working, right, you are not retired, right? Your child can, if your child can be eligible for SSI, it's much better to apply for SSDI. And once you retire, then they can switch the child from SSI to SSDI.
Do you lose the Medicaid while you're waiting for those 24 months if you switch?
Medicaid,
Uh-huh.
no, Medicaid is automatically eligible. You are automatically eligible once you get eligible for SSI.
Right, but if you're switching from SSI to disabled adult child
Uh-huh.
on retirement, do you lose the Medicaid for those 2 years you're
No,
waiting for Medicaid?
No, you get the SSDI. What you have to wait for, if you look, it says the Medicare.
Right,
That's a separate thing. That's
but
a,
you have
don't
to still have
lose-
Medicaid for
Yes.
those 2 years.
yes.
But you can have Medicaid
And
and Medicare,
Medicare,
yes.
So do you get SSI and disabled adult child together?
No, disabled adult child, it depends how much they are getting. So if it's less than 854, you
Uh-huh.
can get that portion and get a small portion in SSI. But if it's more than 854, they will take the higher value that you
Right.
have, right? So you can get both or get just SSDI. Most of the time they'll get an SSDI if you have worked for a long time. Yeah,
But you don't lose insurance. That's
No,
the
you do
more
not.
important part,
you
just-
do not.
Just a little footnote that I don't see on your bullets is that if you are a caregiver for that disabled adult child, you can get that same amount of money also. So like my wife gets that same amount of money
Oh, yeah, through your.
for being a caregiver from Social Security.
From Social Security.
Yeah, and she's not 62, she just gets it for being a caregiver.
That's that's a new.
The whole room just said.
That's, we
We just said, can
Yeah.
we get your phone number?
Yeah. You ready?
You can pass out free.
571-215-1601. I'm probably a neighbor of yours. You live in Northern Virginia?
Yes.
I live in Sterling.
Oh, yeah.
Can you repeat your number one more time?
571-215-1601.
As I said, those do not interfere with any private insurance or true carriage the child is receiving. They, of course, those the children, they can stay under the person's insurance for up to 26 years old.
I got a question.
Uh-huh.
How come people on SSI only get 2,000? I mean, to only say $2,000 in their, I think, savings account?
Right. Yeah,
Is
so,
it possible that they gonna go up soon or?
yeah, so the person is not allowed to go up to have more than 2,000 in income and assets. Actually, it's not just your checking accounts. If, for instance, working for the art of Virginia, you have a 401b, right? That will count that as the asset as well. So that also will affect your SSI. So what people do, they open different accounts, either especially trust or a labor account, so where they can just put those assets and have less than $2,000. You don't have to save in your own checking account, but now you have other little vehicles you can use to save up some money, but still be eligible for SSI. So if you have like more than that, and you say, you know what, I don't have anything I can do with this money, and I don't want to lose it, right? Just spend the money wherever I want. You can open up either special trust or labor account and be able to keep your SSI. And then you have the estate planning and other considerations. So this is the legal document. So you have the last will and testimony, you have POS, you have advanced medical directive, revocable trust, special trust. You ask what's the reason why they have a revocable trust and the special need trust on the list. The reason is because you may have other children, right, who do not have a disability. You may have your own revocable trust that you have for yourself, right? But if you don't have a special need trust and you list that child as the beneficiary for your trust, then once you pass, that money is gonna be under the child's name, right? And that will affect his Medicaid or her Medicaid, SSI, all those government benefits they are receiving. So it's important to open, especially trust, even if it's not funded, to just hold it there. And this also applies for life insurance, right? If you have life insurances, instead of listing that child as the beneficiary, you can list those special need trusts you have opened as the beneficiary. So once the life insurance is paid out, will go straight into a special need trust instead of affecting your children, your child. We have seen people who called like at the end, like 2-3 days before the end of the month, saying, please, we have to open this trust like now. If we do not, and we wait at the end of the month, then they will lose Medicaid. Because if they keep that check for 1 month, that's enough for Medicaid to say, you know what, you have a lot of money. So forget about Medicaid, forget about Social Security until you spend down those funds, right? So we don't want to do that. And to avoid that, it's just planning ahead and having that special need trust holding somewhere. And once the life insurance is paid out, once you pass and your revocable trust need to be spent down, then they can just send a check to the special need trust or whatever account you have for your child without affecting the government benefits.
This special needs child be for an adult too.
Yes. Yes, anyone can open a special need trust. In Virginia, you have to be 65 and less old. Above 65, I think it's not gonna protect you anymore. So I don't know why is that, but they require people to open the special need trust before they turn 65. So special need trust, I think I talked a little bit from the beginning of the presentation about special need trust. It's a legal vehicle that provides benefits to and protects the asset of a person with disabilities and still allows that person to qualify for and receiving government benefits. Yes.
Sorry. I don't have life insurance, right? So can I get it on disability?
You have to apply for it and see. As I said, there are requirements they're gonna look into to see if you are eligible for receiving your disability. Do you have a case manager you're working with?
Yeah.
Yes, so talk to your case manager and they can help you to apply for SSDI if you are eligible for that.
Okay.
So who is eligible for special need trusts? Any person with a physical, mental, or cognitive disabilities as defined by Social Security Act. Why a special need trust? So you open a special need trust to protect government benefits, as I said before, help with money management, long-term financial planning, to protect the dignity, comfort, and happiness of the person with disabilities, broad use of the trust funds to supplement benefits. So this is our special need trust with the Arc of Northern Virginia. We have Key Private Bank as our trustee. The trust, the Arc of Northern Virginia, we are manager, and we have what we call grantors. Grantors are those people who establish those trusts. So it depends which kind of trust and who its asset is to be able to define who's gonna be the grantor or not. For instance, if you as a parent, you have your own assets, your own funds that you wanna put into a special need trust, you open up that trust yourself, right? So you're gonna be called the grantor for the trust. Now, if your child receives any, let's say, Social Security payback, right? You get a 15,000 check from Social Security because the child was eligible before, but just started to receive SSI, and they give that child a payback, right? So in that case, that child, unless they have guardianship and conservatorship in Virginia, they will be the ones who are gonna be called grantors in that case, unless they have some legal authority that protect them from that, right? If they don't have any of those two things, then they'll be the one who's gonna be grantors. However, you can be the primary representative. The primary representative can be anyone you want to list on that trust as a person who can help your child to disperse or to make payment from the trust. So even though you will not listed as a grantor, you can be listed as a primary representative and help your child to disperse funds from the trusts. The beneficiary, of course, in this case is going to be the individual with disabilities, yes.
If you have funds coming in from different locations, you have to have open multiple trusts, or do you still have
No,
one?
you can
and
use
then-
one. For instance, the family funded trust, which is the one that a person, someone else can open for anyone who has a disability, right? It can be a parent, it can be an applicant. We have even friends who have left some trust for friends who have disabilities, right? So anyone can open up a special need trust. And that trust can receive any funds that are coming from different parties. It does not have to be you. But if the child get a gift and it's a check, then that check can be just sent to the trust.
Or from income,
So from income, that is gonna be the self-funded trust, because that's his money or her money, so it's not yours.
That's a second trust.
That's a second kind of trust, yes.
And real estate,
Real estate, that's if it's
your
your,
trust.
no, it's a trust. In a trust, it's not something like we have an account with all the time, but we can hold the real estate actually in the trusts. It's
I have a little weird question, but is there a way to track a trust fund? For example, you're divorced, you know that your ex-husband has a trust fund in place, he passes away, you don't know where that trust fund was, what bank, you don't have any document,
do they have an executive maybe?
don't know.
Yeah, without an executive, it would be hard to trust in trust unless you know where you can look.
Well, that leads me to my next question, because I'm probably not the only one who doesn't really talk to her ex. What happens to a trust fund that is left in limbo with nobody's claiming it?
So for instance, for those trusts we have with us, sometimes we do get in touch. For instance, we have clients who never use their special need trust, right? A trust is not there to just, yeah, true, like money is invested, right? But we also need them to be able to enjoy their lives with whatever they have left in the trust. Unless we have a guidance from the person who established the trust, you know what, do not contact the beneficiary, right? But sometimes we do contact those beneficiaries to just see, what do you want? How can we help you to be able to use your trusts? And we do send statements. So if it's someone with who has a trust with us, so we notice that actually, for instance, those statements will come back to us if that person is no longer alive, right? The address probably will change. Now, if your ex-husband is still alive and establish a trust, then you have made that decision that I'm the grantor, I'm the one who can make a decision about that trust. So only him and the beneficiary, which is in this case your child, will be able to access those funds unless he listed you as a primary representative. But when you are listed, most of the time they will call you, not gonna list just someone to list them without telling them, you know what, I listed you as a primary representative in case there's any need, they will get in touch with you. Primary representative, I already spoke about it. Sometimes it's the beneficiary, it can be a family member, it can be agency representative for those who are in group homes. We do work with different group homes when it comes to the trust. Of course, they don't have access to the trust, but if that person does not have anyone else in their lives most of the time we'll get in touch with those agencies to make sure that they can actually disperse, get funds from the trust. If it comes to vacation, for instance, oh, they want to go on vacation, how can we do to pay for that vacation? We are the ones who knows who can sign those documents because we have the trust documents. And in that case, we can just ask them, you know what, send us the bill, send us whatever you have for the vacation, and I'll see if I can get in touch with the person who's in charge to see if I can get the document signed. And the reminder beneficiary, so that the last one, this is important when it comes to the family funded trust. So the family funded trust, since that's your money, you get to list whoever is gonna get those funds once the child is no longer alive, right? So you get to decide who's gonna get that, which is different from a self-funded trust, because a self-funded trust, most of them, they have Medicaid, and there's what we call Medicaid payback on those trusts. So before anyone can get anything, Medicaid will have to be paid first, unless you have decided to donate those funds to the Arc of Northern Virginia as the organization to help other people with disabilities. So that's why we always ask parents to establish those trusts. Even if they are not funded, at least if it's established, then you know that you get to decide who's gonna get those funds if the child is no longer alive, instead of having that huge check under the name of that child. And that is gonna be different trusts, because it will no longer be a family funded trust, since that check is gonna be under the person's name. It's gonna be a self-funded trust. So if you have a trust in place, once you pass, they just transfer whatever funds they have into that special need trust, and you still have that decision to make. You still have that decision where you can make, you can say who's going to get those funds once the child is no longer alive.
I have a question about I guess it's the pay, the representative pay.
Right.
So my son's 14, but his pays would be the ones that I would choose is 10 and 14 years older than him. So once I'm gone and they pass, who becomes his payee?
So most of them, they'll go to an agency unless your son can be his own repayee. They'll be transferred to an agency. So they do have a list of agencies like here in Virginia that can play the role of representative payee. We used to have that program, but we no longer have it with the Arc of Northern Virginia. But there are different agencies in Virginia that can play that role.
Okay.
So, and this is the Arc of Northern Virginia, right? So what our trust will be the manager, right? And when it comes to establishing the trust, you don't need to get in touch with the lawyer to be able to establish a trust with us. You can just make an appointment straight to our office, just go through those documents, sign them, and you are done, right? But when it comes to the lawyer, so you have to find someone who's going to be a co-trustee, right? The lawyer is not going to be only the trustee, but you're going to have to find someone who can also manage those funds, right? You have to make sure that that person is someone who understands government benefits, to don't make some decisions that can affect your child in the future when it comes to government benefits. But it does, we do manage that, and we do understand anything that is related to government benefits. We do have other departments that can even refer to different services. For instance, I got clients who email me about different things, right? How I want to apply for housing. Where can I go? I want to apply for Medicaid waiver. Where can I go, right? It's not like we're going to say, okay, so it has nothing to do with the trust. So look for someone else, right? We do look for our own colleagues to just figure out what can we do? Where do we have anyone we can refer those people to? And so in this case, the lawyer or financial institution, they also be the grantor. So it's not gonna be the grantor, but they will be the grantor, and you can just have a kind of trust advocate that you can play that role. Family and anything, anyone else you want to list on that trust. And I believe fees also differ because I mean we are a non-profit organization, so you're not gonna pay the same fees as if you open the trust with a private institution or a financial institution. And I believe they have a limit of money. So if you have a 10,000 check, most of the time they're not gonna accept it. They prefer to have a huge check. They can have some fees charged on it. So what do we do as a team? So the expertise for Key Bank, they do asset allocation. We have different allocations that you can pick from the conservator to the high risk, right? So it depends on your comfortable zone of risk. So you can choose from different investment options. We have asset management, account reporting, that's done by Key Bank. They do tax reporting as well, check writing and dispersing from the trust. So those are different investment options. We have 8 so far right now, and it can be customized if you have 250,000 and above. In assets, we hold real estate and we do property management. So anything related to the home, the place is gonna be managed by us. If we need to do, there are some repairs that need to get done on the house, the trust will do that with Key Bank. And we do also in-kind transfer of stock. So those who wanna transfer from a 401k to the trust, Key Bank will help them to make sure that they look into different options, different ways you can do that without really having to pay a lot of money in fines and whatever. So they'll advise which way to go based on the asset you want to transfer into the trust. And as the Arc of Northern Virginia's manager, we provide services for people with disabilities, understand current benefit eligibility requirements. We follow the grantor wishes. These wishes, the letter of intent I talked about at the beginning, we also do have a trust plan. So that's where you're gonna write actually, how do you want the trust to be used? What do you need your child to have, right? So we're gonna have a lot of information when it comes to that. And of course, how don't you want the trust to be used? We have parents, for instance, who say, you know what, I never want my child to get a vehicle, for instance, from the trust, right? So we already have it there. So in case we get a request saying, yeah, I want to buy a vehicle, then we know we cannot use the trust to buy a vehicle. So that's really important for us to have that trust plan in place to understand how you want us to use the trust. So we do consider beneficiary needs and priorities. We are positioned as a nonprofit with person-centered mission statements. This is really, we do focus on the person. We don't have a general requirement for everyone who has a trust with us because we know everyone has different needs. So we do focus on that person and make sure that they have whatever they need from the trust and help them, of course, to understand it, to manage for a lifetime that trust, because we don't want to see a trust that is this amount and then within 10 years the trust is depleted, right? We want to make sure that that child will be able to have enough funds to live off for a lifetime. That's really our goal. It's not like we want to spend the trust for whatever they want and then, 10 years down, it's just, okay, bye, and they have nothing left. We offer the progressive fees schedule also. Okay. So we offer the progressive fee schedule for large accounts. So those large accounts, they work directly with people to make sure that they are being invested the way they want those funds to be invested. So we do put our clients in touch with Key Bank investments indirectly to have just that guidance to understand how those funds can be invested based on what the clients want. So our chapter is also over 60 years. Our trust really 24, 22. And this gave us actually a plus because we have experience in the disability field, right? We do understand what we're doing. We do know what to do, what to not do to make sure that they keep the government benefit. I always say, I mean, you can SSI, I'm like, okay, SSI is fine, right? If you have enough in your trust to live off, okay, fine. But if you remember Medicaid and you remember how much those bills can cost, it's a lot actually to lose that benefits because you make something that you're not supposed to pay or you use the money the way you're not supposed to use those funds. So we have different type of special needs trust. I think I went over all of them. The third party trust can be funded or unfunded. That's why I say parents who have like life insurance or a revocable trust, they want to transfer their money to a irrevocable trust, then they can have that trust unfunded. There's a $65 a year you have to pay to just keep that trust unfunded. And once it's funded, of course, you no longer have to pay that $65 a year. The other option some people choose is to have a very small amount, like $300 in that trust, and just keep it there until you get those funds into the trust to be fully funded. You have you can open those trusts with a private, as I said, private institution, or you can do it with the nonprofits. In that case, they are of Northern Virginia for us. The first party trust is always funded, unless there's really something that is going to come up. Most people that open first party trust is because they have a payback, they have a resettlement that they want to put into that trust. That's when they decide to open those first party trusts. Those are funds that are coming from the person with disability directly, or from the parents or anyone else. So third party trust, like a family trust, who can open it? Parents, relatives, and friends. What's the process? You just contact us, or in case it's you want to open that trust with the lawyer, you contact the lawyer or a bank to establish it. When to fund it? Second to die or prior to death, right? So you can choose. If it's a couple, you can just say second to die. If I'm the first one to die, my wife can fund that trust, whatever you want to do the trust. How to fund this can be inheritance, life insurance policy, transfer from another trust, contribution, or real estate. This cannot be the beneficiary's money. As I say, the family funding trust has to come from someone else, but the person with disability. What happens to funds at death of the beneficiary? You get to decide who is going to inherit those funds once the child is no longer alive. The first party trusts, I believe we went over this one as well. So this, who can establish it? It's the individual with disabilities, parents, grandparents, guardian, court-ordered, or agent under power of attorney. What's the process? It's the same process. You contact us, you contact the lawyer, you contact anyone else who is supposed to establish that trust. Why and when? These trusts, as I said, it's only when it's necessary, right? Only when the person with disability needs to apply for or protect benefit or cannot manage money, or when the survival benefits is an option. How to fund it? This is unexpected inheritance. As I said, once you forgot to establish that family funding trust rights and they get a check, it's under the child's name, then this is going to be unexpected inheritance, and they have to be within that same month that check was received for that child to lose the government benefits. Or if it's a lump sum payback from Social Security, jury decision, settlements, income, adult child support, military survival benefits program, Alamanio. Already, so this probably the 1 billion that they just that can go straight to the trust. What happened to funds after death of the beneficiary? So this one have a Medicaid payback. Before anyone else can get those funds, Medicaid will have to do it. So, and most of the time, sometimes we get a bill for $1 million from Medicaid for the whole time since that person started using Medicaid to the time they passed. They say this is how much we paid for that person. We get 1 million to send them a check for 10,000, probably that was left in the trust, but they will take it.
Actually, I thought that that's the estate recovery trust, and I thought it was only for pooled. It's a pooled trust, right?
This is a pooled special need trust. Yeah, but if any irrevocable trust, that's the requirement. If it's that person's with disability funds, that's the requirement. Either with a non-profit organization or in private sector, you're gonna have to pay Medicaid first. If that's the person's money and they receive Medicaid. If it's your money, then you open a different trust. You don't open a self-funded trust. Yeah. So that one does not have a Medicaid payback. It's only if it's your child putting money into a trust that they're gonna have to pay Medicaid first before anyone else can get those funds. Or the other option, some of them they do is the contribution to the foundation of the Ark of Northern Virginia. Those are funds. So the enrollment fee is $1,050 one-time fee. If there's a second trust, we have parents, for instance, who open each one trust, like we have a trust from the mom, we have a trust from the dad. Those ones, if you open a second one, then the second fee is $525. Now, if it's also a self-funded trust and a family-funded trust, the same rule will apply. So the second trust we pay half the price. And if you wanna open a trust and leave it unfunded until you fund the trust, like through a life insurance, inheritance, or anything else that you're gonna put in the trust, then you can open an unfunded trust. And as I say every year, so the first anniversary, it's not when you establish the trust, but if the trust is established today, August 1st, then you start to pay August 1st, 2023. Or you can have just $300 in the trust. And, you know, you're gonna have to pay $65 every year. Oh, went over the time. So this is the grant. I think I went over most of them. We have low fees, multiple checks balances, we have minimum family responsibility. So you don't have to say, okay, the siblings will have to take care of my child. We can do that ourselves. We hold real estate as well. So this is the ABO account. So the ABO account basically is the same as a special needs trust. It's also, it's called Achieving a Better Life Experience. And you can establish an ABO account, and this can be used actually for allowable disability expenses. Allowable meaning that you have to use those funds for things, expenses that are related to that person's disability. So there's it just started 2 years ago. So I don't know if they have studied that to check. I don't know if there's any check and balance for now, where they say, okay, how did you use the money? Because you have access to the money, so it can be used anyhow, right? But once I'm pretty sure they started looking into those details, probably can be some people will not be affected if those funds were used otherwise. So the ABO accounts, to open an ABO account, you have to be disabled prior to the age of 26 to be eligible for the ABO account. You have fees, and you only put 16,000 per year. That's it. More than that, you cannot put it. If you have a check of 300,000, you cannot put it to a depot account. And you have earned income is tax-free, potential federal Medicaid payback. As I said, there are some rules we don't know yet, so it's gonna be affected in the future. Yeah, so this is a list of expenses that are eligible to the able account as qualified disability expenses. Yeah, so as I said, I went over this, there will be probably some verification later on to see how the money was used, and the Social Security Administration actually does not count any money that is sent to a labor account as something that can affect the person's disability. So it's important really to record those expenses.